Hey friends, Powwow Guy here, Rob Phoenix. I wanted to talk a little bit about sometimes as a powwow, you'll be called on to play a dual role. Um, yeah, we get a lot of healing requests. We get a lot of like hex removal, anti-witchery requests. But occasionally we get a request and it turns out to be some sort of spirit or, even like a demonic force, something that's some sort of spiritual entity or being that is actively working against or causing some sort of disruption in a patient's life. So at one time, I knew nothing about these things. I really kind of struggled with those requests. And I want to say maybe about a year ago, I can't remember, back when I was still on social media, I saw a kind of an ad come through for a local organization looking to fill more member spots. It's a paranormal investigation team. And I thought, you know what, I have no experience in this. I know nothing about this, but I really need to educate myself and get this. And if nothing else, I would make some valuable contacts that I could reach out to when I needed, that kind of help. But I've learned a lot and it's actually been a great, awesome experience for me. So tonight I have a really special guest that I want to talk to. We're gonna talk to her, hear from her. Her name is Pam Wellington. She is the director of the Spirit Searchers Paranormal Investigation team in South Central Pennsylvania. Hey. So Pam is really cool. She's an educated woman. She has a master in fine arts. She was a high school art teacher for 25 years. She's retired now, and her life is all about paranormal investigating. So, Pam, thank you.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, and I have to say, I love the painting behind you. I know that's your your artistic rendition of the Hex Hollow house, the Raymeyer house.
Right.
Very cool. So
thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about paranormal investigating. Now, you and I know each other for this reason, because you are basically my mentor in this, which it's so awesome. Like, I just came into this thinking I'll dabble a little bit. I knew nothing. And you were like, you know what, that's awesome. You're the best kind of person because you know nothing and we get to start you from square one. So I had no
I wouldn't say you know nothing. You're a very knowledgeable guy. In the paranormal investigating area, I can help you learn more things. But yeah.
And that was awesome because I came in with no preconceived anything. So it's been really good. But it's interesting because there are a lot of groups out there, a lot of TV shows, a lot of things that people do and say. And so it kind of gives like paranormal investigating kind of a weird, people are like, that's kind of weird. So it's good to have like an actual educated, knowledgeable, experienced person to talk to and to share with people who might be watching this video. So, I mean, I have to ask here, I have to start with like, how did this even start for you? Like, when did you realize like, I want to get into paranormal investigating?
Well, I've always had, experiences since I was a child, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but it was really because of the TV show Ghost Hunters. I'd heard about it coming on. I'd never heard of investigating ghosts before, and the thought really intrigued me. So I watched the show and I thought, you know what? I really want to do this. Like, I want to learn how to be an investigator of the unknown, of the mysterious. And so I looked into it, and it was in the beginning, it was like 2005 or 6. And there really weren't a lot of teams around or people doing this. So I had to search to find people to join with to do this. So it was really the beginning of paranormal investigating as we know it now.
Wow. So just a little side note there. Did you have a lot of like really good mentors? Did you find good people to teach you? No.
Not really. No. I mean, I started with a couple of guys who had maybe 5 minutes more experience than I did. And they just basically, we went to Gettysburg, we went to the battlefield, we went to places that are reported to be haunted. We got out our recorders and our digital cameras, which is basically all we had back then. And, tried to capture voices, what is called EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, photos, and that was the start of it. From there, I joined another much more experienced group who did investigations almost twice a week for about 5 years.
Wow.
So we were doing like close to 50 investigations a year. That gave me a lot of experience.
Yeah, that's a lot of experience. Wow. So like all that, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things, experienced a lot of things. What would you say if you had to pick just like one of the most significant, awesome, like paranormal experiences? Can you think of one?
Well, I'll give you two. One is a personal one that started me on my journey when I was 13. I was in my grandparents' farmhouse in Maine, and I was with my mom and my brother and my cousin downstairs having breakfast in the kitchen, and we heard footsteps upstairs walking back and forth. And we didn't think anyone was in the house, so we went up to check, and there wasn't anyone. So we came back down, and the footsteps started again. And this went on and on for quite a long time until we became so frightened that we just kind of huddled in the kitchen, you know, waiting for my dad and my grandparents to come home. When we told them about it, they didn't believe us. So I really never forgot that experience. As far as one of the most memorable experiences as an investigator, it was very early on when I was with my first team, and I think it was maybe only my second or third investigation. We went to this huge warehouse in outside of Gettysburg, and it used to house German POWs during World War II. And we heard singing. I was sitting in the dark with a couple of people out in the warehouse. It was a huge place with a couple of stories up. And we heard these voices singing, and they were singing in a different language. And we could not locate where it was coming from, but it wasn't coming from anyone that was actually there. And it did happen to be in German. So I'll never forget that. Singing, yeah, the sound of singing voices in an empty room.
Wow. Okay, well, that's pretty significant. And I know that the house you live in is haunted. I've been there. I've experienced it. I mean, and I'm like super skeptic, but I've experienced it. I've experienced all the equipment going crazy. I've experienced the EVPs that we've gotten in your house, the video recordings, the growling sound and such. So, I mean, if you want to talk a little bit about that, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your.
Yeah, people get very skeptical about it because I'm an investigator. So they think, oh, she's making this up, you know, for fun, because this is what she does. But I've lived here for close to 17 years without any problems at all. And January of 2019 is when the activity started here. So I'd already lived here for 15 years. And it started with objects being moved out of place. So at first I thought I was imagining things. Oh, it's just me. I forgot where I put it, you know. But that kept happening. Objects moving out of place, sometimes disappearing and never showing up again, sometimes showing back up in a different location, or just being moved a few inches, knowing I put it in a certain place, winding up somewhere else. Then we started hearing loud bangs from upstairs and what seemed to be from the roof. And I mean loud. I mean something that could be mistaken for a crash, like a huge boulder crashing on the roof of your house or something. And then we started hearing thumps and footsteps and bangs from the second floor. Then we started, things started to ramp up a little bit. We started to actually see objects moving in front of us. We put up video cameras at that point and have caught a couple of times now, have caught things moving on camera by themselves without any help. We've heard voices, we've been touched, we've seen shadows. We've seen a lot of things happening here, and they happen all times of the day or night. And they happen not on a regular basis, like not every day, not even once a week, but sometimes it'll come in clumps, like 2 or 3 times a day, and then nothing for a couple of weeks, and it'll start again. So, but it's been going on now for almost 3 years.
Yeah, and I can attest to it. I'm at your house fairly often, and I have witnessed some of the paranormal things happening, things that we can't explain, things that I've literally caught them on my phone camera. So I can definitely attest to the fact that their home is haunted. So it's cool to me. It gives me the shivers thinking about it. I've never felt scared though, but however, I was watching, I know you guys, you like the paranormal shows, and I haven't been watching them. I think I've only ever seen one. So recently I was watching some things on YouTube, and I came across something that I thought we would check out. So let's just go to something here as soon as I find it. I apologize.
No problem. Technology is your friend, Rob.
Yeah, I'm not technology's friend. Okay, I think I got it. Let's watch this. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, this group, look, they have their tools that they're using.
K2 meter, ghost meter, motion sensor, PSB11. That's a spirit box and a Ouija board.
Okay, let's watch.
Sorry. My lamp just knocked over. I don't have any light now. Thank you.
Okay, so let's stop that. So what do you think? He was talking about something called a K2 meter. He said if it blinks, there's definitely a spirit in communication with you. Now, so my question here is, we see these shows, I've watched them, and some of them, just based on the things that I've learned from you, seem a little questionable to me. The fact that they broke out a Ouija board. Now, these are men, they're in a country, Mumbai. They're not even American, okay? They're in a fantastic, the rest of the show, the church looks gorgeous. It's ruins of a church, fantastic site. They have this awesome opportunity to investigate this place. And then they break out a Ouija board and this K2 meter and such. So if you were making a show like this, what might you do differently than what we see in these shows or like in that clip? What might you do different?
Okay, well, first of all, to clear up something, there's no such thing as something that will capture a ghost or anything like that. So when they say the K2 meter goes off, it means there's a ghost there. There's no such device that we have at this point that does that. What it's doing is it's measuring electromagnetic fields in the atmosphere. That's what it's doing. Some people believe that just because there is any EMF, there must be a ghost there, is simply not true. There's a theory that if you capture very high EMF readings in a place that does not normally have them, that could be one sign that there might be something paranormal going on. But it's not a ghost detector. There's honestly no such thing. We use scientific equipment to meter and measure things in the atmosphere in the home that are going on. And we use those things to try and figure out what's going on in the house. So if I was doing that investigation of that beautiful location, there would be no K2 meter. I would get a really good EMF meter, okay, like a Mel meter or something like that, that really works well. K2 meters are terrible. They measure every frequency in the universe. So you're picking up anything, not reliable at all. Put it away, throw it in the trash. Ouija boards are something that are used in the occult to conjure spirits and talk to spirits of the dead. It's been around for, 150 to 100 years. And it's a way of communicating. A lot of people say, well, what's the difference between that and doing an EVP session with a recorder? There is a difference. The Ouija board has the reputation of being a dangerous thing that can actually invite spirits to enter your world from theirs. And you're basically opening a door for anything to come through. And you're actually inviting them to do that. And then if you don't close that door very specifically, do a prayer or something to close that door and to tell the spirits not to stay, but to go back where they came from, then you're opening a door and you're leaving it open where anything can come in. So, but scientifically speaking, Ouija boards use the human touch or human hands to move. Anything that involves using a human hand could involve that human manipulating that device to do what they want it to do. And it does not have to be conscious. It can be completely unconscious. That's called the ideomotor reflex, when a human being unconsciously moves something towards what they want it to say, but it's unconscious, it's not deliberate. They don't even know they're doing it. So the movement of the device on a Ouija board, a pendulum swinging, a dowsing rods moving, if held by the human hand, are open to that problem.
Okay, so these guys could be totally sincere in their use of this Ouija board, and they may even get responses. I didn't play any further in the video, but probably not the most scientific approach.
No.
So you think if you were doing a show, you might focus a little more on science rather than occult?
I would focus, if it was my show, I would be focusing on science. There's a lot of shows out there right now who claim to be using science, but then they disappoint by not using science at all. I would love to see a show that used science to really truly investigate what's going on without the preconception of, oh, there's got to be a ghost here, let's find a ghost. Be something so very natural.
So that kind of leads into the next question I have. Like, what, in your opinion, if you could only take one tool with you, what do you think the most important tool is for a paranormal investigator to have? What do you think?
Well, I thought about this, and I know this sounds a little bit heady and hokey and typically teacher-esque of me, but it's a good investigator with a lot of knowledge and learning, who's willing to really learn and read and take the time to find out as much as they can. That's your best tool. An investigator who knows nothing and is ignorant of things can make unbelievable mistakes and go awry in all kinds of different ways. But a knowledgeable investigator, there's no substitute for reading, studying, researching. But as far as an actual device or tool, I love old school, a good old recorder, audio recorder, and digital camera are the two things that you really need. The audio recorder is my favorite because that's how you get what are called EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. And that's my thing. That to me is unexplained, mysterious, exciting phenomena, exciting evidence. And I love the audio recorder.
Yeah, well, I a couple of the things that you've captured when we've done various investigations, like at the gallery and such, just some of the things are so unexplained, but they're clear as day on the recorder, and we didn't hear them at the time. So I'm with you. That's fascinating stuff. And I know, I know you're always happy to share your EVPs with people. So, I mean, can people hear some of our EVPs if they come to the website or your Facebook group?
Facebook is a real challenge because they don't allow audio. They allow video.
Okay.
So what I have to do is go around Facebook, out the door, and do it through a different program and then bring it back in. And I can do that. Yeah, I can share those. But some of the best we have are from a client who would have to give us permission to do that. So I will check with her.
Okay, so maybe you might think about a little YouTube page, Pam.
Right.
All right. So, all right.
Why not?
So why not? Just add it to your daily tasks. So many other things going on. But it's good because, well, it's not good, but what I'm trying to say is like as a powwow, I get a lot of people who say, I've been cursed. I've been cursed. There's a witch. They're hexing me, whatever. It's all bad. It's all bad. So as an investigator, you're probably getting a lot of people who are like, there are ghosts. My house is haunted. There's an evil spirit. There's a demon. How either common, is it common for people to actually have a haunting, or is it rare? Like, how rare is it? How common is it? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I did some research on that, and also based on my own experience. I would say about 20 to 25% of the reports of a haunting are real. And the rest are misunderstanding, something totally natural going on, or flat out faking for attention or whatever. So about 20 to 25%. Of that 20 to 25% that needs to be taken seriously, only a fraction of those are from an actual haunting of a spirit. There could be many other explanations as to what's going on. But there's more than you think. There's really more than you think. I mean, that's still a lot, when you consider about, maybe 10% to 20% of all the recordings, there is something actually unknown or unexplained going on.
Wow. Okay, that's actually, yeah, that is more than I would have thought.
Well, I give the credit to Jason Hawes from TAPS, who, based on their extensive experience over years of investigating, came up with that number of around 20%, 80% nothing, 20% maybe something.
Okay, so you said Jason Hawes from TAPS. What is that?
Yeah. What does TAPS stand for? Atlantic Paranormal Society.
Okay.
What's the T? I forget. Yeah, they were the ones that had the first show, Ghost Hunters, which is actually back for a new season.
It's actually the Paranormal.
The Atlantic Paranormal Society.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess apps didn't sound as good, so TAPS. No. Okay.
Well, right. They're famous, and they've been doing this for a long time.
Okay, all right. So it's a more of they would be like a reliable source of information then, sort of
for the most part. Yeah,
like an authority in the field.
So. I mean, okay. I think so. They have a TV show, so that's always, a problem for some people that they're on TV. But I think he's reliable in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, so then he probably oversees his groups that go out there in his name. So then, like, how would you compare the group that you're the director of with other groups? Like, what sets your group apart, which I'm a part of, so I'm a little biased here, but I'm allowing you to take the lead on this. So what sets Spirit Searchers Paranormal Investigations apart from, because we have a lot of groups in our area, that. Oh, yeah. What sets us apart from them?
Well, I'll start by saying what we don't do and what they do wrong, because there's a lot of that. And you can see a lot of that on TV, but you can also see a lot of that on websites. And they just don't seem to know a lot about what they're doing. They don't seem to study and research and really find out about their equipment, for instance. Like a K2 does not detect ghosts. That's a simple fact. It reads EMF. So find out, how your equipment works. And using science, very few teams will actually use science. They will claim to, but then when they pull out a Ouija board or a pendulum or a dowsing rods, they're not using science. They're using old school occult objects and practices that, are not tried and true, certainly in the scientific field. So what our group is different is I insist, as that you guys learn about this field, that you read and you study and you take tests. And I'm a teacher in that aspect, that I've handed you a course, asked you to do it, to learn a lot, to learn the vocabulary, to learn about the equipment, and to keep learning and never stop learning, because this field it's about the unknown. So it's going to constantly be opening up. And then I want our investigators to be good at what they do, to be caring of the client. This is about the client. This is not about an amusement park ride, I call it, is running around on a field to get scared or to have an exciting experience. That would be a ghost hunter. A paranormal investigator is a whole different thing. You know, we're out there investigating the claims of the client to help them find answers to what's going on. So number one, they don't feel like they're crazy. They have someone who has experienced what they have. And so they feel relieved in that sense, plus maybe find some answers for what is going on in the scientific realm. And we may not always be able to find answers. You know, a lot of what we study is unexplained. Obviously, it's the paranormal, so it's unexplained phenomena, but we can capture evidence of it and help to try and explain what's going on and help them out with whatever they're going through. So that's what our team is about primarily. A lot of teams are about getting that TV show, getting their face on YouTube, getting famous for what they do, unfortunately.
Well, I can definitely,
no,
I can attest to that. Yeah, you have a course for us. It's literally a paper course, this great big stack of papers with all this stuff to work through. There are questions, and it's awesome. I love it because I'm still working through it because, you know, I came in not knowing anything, but I wanted to know. And you provided this education for us. And I remember even one time, like during one of our investigations, the REM pod, which is a tool that investigators sometimes use, was just like beeping crazy. And I'm like, oh my God, we have contact with the other side. And, you know, however I said it, and you were like, no, the only thing we know at this point is that the REM pod is beeping and lights are going off. That's all we can say with any certainty. And like, I like that because you're right. It keeps us in check. It keeps us scientific. It keeps us in the real world. Yes, we are investigating these, super or paranormal things, but we can't be jumping into these crazy conclusions. I have seen that in a couple of YouTube videos. They've been, you know, they go into a place and they shine a flashlight and they're, what was that? And then they all scream and run out. And I think, why are you there? Why are you there? If you're going to scream and run away, and then the camera's all wonky and crazy and like there's lights, but you know, like, what am I looking at here? Like, all you know is that there was a sound. Calm down. So
yeah, I'm not into the run, dude, run thing.
No. I mean, it was just so. But it does bring up. It brings me to. I want to show you a little clip of something. This is just to set up the context here. This is a lady, and that's all I know about her. Is it's a female. Is showing off a piece of equipment that she has downloaded onto her phone. It's a phone app. And apparently a doll in her house has a spirit in it. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts might be on this. And bear with me 1 second while I figure out how to do this. All right, let's check it out.
Okay.
So she has this device. Looks impressive. Making a lot of beeps. Uh-oh. Tragic.
What was tragic?
I guess the doll is saying the word tragic. I'm not sure what that means. Well, what's tragic is this video. I'm going to stop it now. All right, what'd you think of that?
Okay, well, first of all, objects can have attachments to them, depending on where they've been. So some people experience weird things happening around certain objects. And, that can be real. That can be a real thing. What that investigator is using is a phone app of what's called an Ovilus. And an Ovilus is a device with a word bank loaded into it. So you speak to it and it spits out words for you in reply. And these things are very sophisticated and intelligent. They're used as as assistive devices for people with hearing problems or vision problems, where the device actually recognizes their speech and their questions and answers them with what you're seeing on the screen, a word, and you're also hearing it, hearing the word tragic. That's basically what they're using. It's a phone app that uses this technology by loading, word bank into it, and it's on your phone. So it's using whatever the phone can do. The phone has speech capability and things like that. It's using that, capability on your phone to do what it's doing. I do not recommend phone apps for paranormal investigating because they're basically marketed as a toy. They're fun. They're not accurate. They don't have the technology built into them that an actual Ovilus would have, or a device that is scientifically, created like a simple audio recorder. Phones have audio recorders. You can record with your phone, but it's nowhere near as sensitive or great as a good, audio recorder. So yeah, I don't recommend phone apps. And that's what she's using as a phone app. They're very popular among investigators who don't have a lot of money and they want to jump into this right away. They want to use this cool thing, and they're usually pretty cheap, but some of them can be pretty silly. I mentioned the other night a ghost radar, a needle that swings around like radars. Oh, there's a ghost over there. Yeah, that's a typical ghost phone app.
Okay, and I just want to kind of add on top of that that our phones can pick up so much. We all know the horror stories. You mention something, you dream about something, then you see an ad for it on your phone. I will tell you that earlier today, Bill and Josani and I had to go to an appointment, and we stopped at a Sheetz for some snacks, and I got a little pouch of Chex Mix. Now, I never at one point said out loud, Chex Mix. So I was eating it in the car, and we were just parked, and I put the news on, and there it was a link to a recipe to make your own Chex Mix. I never said anything about it. Yeah. I never said the words. So our phones know more than we think, and it picks up on our environment more than so that tragic thing or whatever, who knows? But it just didn't seem to me to be reliable, especially if you watch that in video in its entirety. You'll see her phone keeps getting interrupted by text messages, download errors, exactly. All this kind of, yeah. So
plus, what does tragic mean? Spitting out words, and you can apply the meaning of those words to anything, right. Tragic. What does tragic mean?
Right, because the prior word was the word size. I don't know if you saw that but the word S-I-Z-E was on the screen prior to that. Size. And she was asked, is anybody here? Is anybody size?
Yeah, that's pretty
and she
random.
didn't. She just kind of ignored that. So anyway, yeah. But I think it does kind of move. It's good segue into this next question. Is she's just kind of going up to this doll asking, "Who's here? Who are you? What's it all about here? You can talk through this machine stuff." It kind of seemed to me like she was sort of opening herself up to something. So I think as a powwow, I'm all about protection. Self-protection, protective charms and talismans and prayers and such. What do you think? Do you think that's important, like as a group, to put that protection in place and maybe have some guidelines with what we should do and shouldn't do to protect ourselves?
Yeah, this is one area I'm actually growing in because I didn't know a whole lot about it. However, since the very beginning of my investigating, the group has always got together beforehand and said a prayer of protection, a very simple prayer to God to protect us during our investigation, keep us safe. And then at the end of it, we always close the investigation with a blessing for everyone's travels and to tell whatever spirits are there to stay where they are and not come with us. So I've always done that, but I've learned a little more about that and how, first of all, it's really important to stay healthy and to not go on an investigation when you're sick, when you're emotionally stressed out or upset, because that can affect you. It can open you up and be really dangerous for you. So make sure that you're healthy, before you go on investigation, well rested, you've gotten plenty of sleep, you're eating right, all those good things. And then it's really up to the individual and their particular faith. So the individual investigator can, wear a talisman or say prayers or do a ritual at home ahead of time based on their own religious faith. And that, as long as that's the intention to protect themselves and they believe in that, then that works. So the team doesn't have to agree or have the same faith, as long as they're doing something in the way of protection for themselves. I'm, identify myself as a Christian, so I will say a Christian prayer in the name of Jesus, and that protects me, I believe. And I believe that protects me. So I think it's very important. This is a large field that could involve, talismans, objects. I do wear a black obsidian, which is supposed to be protective, and a clear crystal, which I often have in my pocket or something that is for protection. But it's all about what you believe it's doing for you, your faith in it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. I think the protection's very important. Absolutely, because we don't want to bring anything home with us. We don't want to invite anything into us. We don't want to whatever. That being said, I noticed the whole idea of ghost hunting and paranormal investigation and ghost tours and ghost walks has become so commercialized. Now, where we live very close to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So we see the over commercialization of, every building's haunted in Gettysburg. Every bed and breakfast has a ghost. There's tours. You can spend your life going through all the tours and never go through all of them. My family was recently in Salem, Massachusetts for Halloween. Not me, but they went, and it was overdone there as well. The ghost tours of Salem. Since when's that part of Salem? Okay, ghost tours. So what do you think of that? And I think I have my own thoughts on that. Like people think Gettysburg is the most haunted place in the United States. Is it? What do you think? Go.
You're just frozen. Okay, it says recording in progress. Are we back?
Yeah, we had a little glitch. Okay. We're good.
Okay, we had a glitch. This is one of my pet peeves, and I've been writing a blog about the paranormal for a long time, and I rant about this often because I really, really hate it. And Gettysburg is a place that I used to visit years and years ago, back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, where there were no ghost hunters, there were no tours, there were no haunted locations, nothing was there. And then, they started to pop up. And before long, every single place is haunted, every single place has a ghost, and then every single place gives tours and allows you to come in and do investigations. And they have one thing in common. They all charge money. So it's all about making money. And when I think about Gettysburg and what Gettysburg is it was a battlefield where thousands of people died and were maimed and suffered. And there are the graves of those fallen still there. And you're running around making money, looking for these spirits. And I just, I am very upset about it. I don't think it should be allowed in a place like Gettysburg. And I've investigated myself most of those famous locations, and some of them are haunted and some of them absolutely have nothing going on. But they're not unknown for faking as well in order to make money.
Unfortunate.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. That's how I kind of felt about it. I actually even have some books. Here's one here, Haunted Gettysburg, Eyewitnesses of the Supernatural. And it's a lot of what you think it would be. Soldiers and whatnot. Now, personally, I've recently driven in the Gettysburg area, and I saw a lot of Confederate flags hanging on people's properties. I would think, if nothing else, if I was a spirit that gave my life and bled my blood into that soil to protect that land from an invading force, I might haunt them just for having a Confederate flag up. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Good point, Rob.
Yeah. So everybody and their brother thinks their house is haunted. Do you have any advice for those kind of people who think, I think my house is haunted? Where can they start with that? How can they take a step back and start with that?
Sure. They can start by maybe putting some cameras up in their house to try and catch activity, or even a recorder just to try and catch activity evidence. They can start keeping a journal of, what time of day, what the activity was, who was there that witnessed it, and keep a running journal of everything that happens. Then, if it's still going on or ramping up and you're scared, then the next step is to do some research to find a paranormal investigative team that fits with your philosophy, that you would feel comfortable bringing into your house. So most reputable teams will have a website. You can go to their website and check them out and read about their philosophy and their, what they use to investigate, and contact them to come in and do an investigation. You have to be very careful with teams. You have to really check them out and make sure that they're reliable. One thing a reliable team will do is not charge you money. Okay, so if anybody starts out by telling you how much it's going to cost you, forget them. The other thing you want to be careful of is what sort of technology are they using? Are they scientifically minded, or are they going to come in with a pendulum, and that's it? And I had that happen to me. A guy came in with a pendulum. That's it, just a pendulum. and the mat, and was just talking to the pendulum, whatever. So you have to check out like what their philosophy is. I would, of course, suggest that they be scientifically minded and try and find out what's really going on in your house. Not necessarily a haunting. Maybe it can be, pipes in your house, or the house settling, or lots of structural issues. Also, I had an investigation one time of a couple who was having all kinds of things going on in their house, and they had two teenage kids, a boy and a girl. We found out after investigating that the teenagers were punking the parents. And we suspected it, because of the kind of activity they were experiencing, doors opening and closing, and footsteps in the hallway when they weren't there, things like that. The kids were doing it to punk the parents. Also, animals, animals can open and shut doors and move things around, and you don't even know they're there. So putting up a video camera to check those things out is always helpful.
All right, that's really good advice. And so what's the best way would you tell people to contact you or Spirit Searchers group? How would people contact you?
Okay, well, we have a website, spiritsearchers.org. So you can go to spiritsearchers.org, and there's a contact us button. You can hit that, send us an email from there. Or you can go directly to our email address, spiritsearcherspi@gmail.com, and contact us that way. We're also on Facebook. So you can go to Facebook and find Spirit Searchers and contact us through there. Also, you can call me on the phone at my phone number, which is 717-448-4423, and talk to me directly.
Okay, so that's every possible way. And you can send smoke signals, and you can send psychic messages. Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I know that right now we're kind of opening the group up. We're kind of sort of in between clairvoyance at the moment. So we're kind of looking for a clairvoyant, right?
Yeah, we are. I would like to have a really good medium or psychic.
Oh yeah, medium. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. I would like that. I think that they're very valuable in a few ways, but we haven't found anything yet. I'd be very picky. I'd have to vet them and test them and all that. But yeah,
Right.
I would like that, but that hasn't happened yet.
No. And what would you, just to kind of wrap this up, what would you say if somebody's really interested in being a paranormal investigator? Where should they start? What do you think is the best place to start?
Well, the first thing you need to do is examine your motives. Okay. If you just want to have fun, and you want an adventure or you want an experience, then you're really a ghost enthusiast, you know, so you can get yourself a recorder and a camera and do ghost tours, fun with it. If you examine your motives and realize you want to get serious with this and be a real investigator, then the first thing you need to do is read and research and read and research and learn as much as you can, and then find a group that suits, you know, your idea of what good investigation is. Online, there are literally thousands of paranormal teams in this country. So, you know, look at their websites, research them, and join a team. You'll usually start on the bottom with, you know, running wires and sitting in the dark for hours, and you know, learning the ropes of what it is to be a good investigator.
Okay, that's awesome advice. And again, spiritsearchers.org. That's where you'll find our group, and that's where you'll find Pam. And reach out. So we're in the South Central Pennsylvania area, Mechanicsburg, Cumberland County, you know, that sort of area. So if you need us, and we know you're out there, because statistics say that, you know, 2 out of every 10 people that are haunted might be haunted. So,
right.
So yeah, Pam, this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob, for having me. This is great.
Yeah. And we'll definitely do it again. And okay, everybody. So there you go. Insofar as powwow goes, it is nice to have this resource. Pam is a great resource. So wherever you are in your area, find your local paranormal investigation group, because even if you don't join them, they're a great educational resource, or they should be, right?
Yes, they should be.
Yeah, and so you have that person to reach out to. So if one of your powwow patients or clients comes to you with a sort of a paranormal issue and you don't know how to tackle it, it is nice to have that connection to a group. So that's it. Thank you very much, Pam. I'm going to end this video. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and God bless you all. Take care, and we'll talk very soon.
God bless. Bye.
Bye.
That went amazingly well.